Hello, I'm Dr. Zandra Bell McRoy. I'm your virtual PLC lead. So let's jump right back into our part three of our positive learning environment. So here we go again. Did you know the emotional side of teaching can be the most challenging? Staying focused on what is truly important in our classrooms can be difficult, and it's possible to hold students to high expectations, have an efficient classroom, and have fun at the same time. So the type of atmosphere that I like to have in my classroom is when we're in a classroom where we do laugh. I love to laugh. Laughing is so important, and it's healing. And so I like to laugh. I like to have fun with my students, but I like my classrooms to be very efficient, and we meet our expectations, and we meet our goals every day. I just like to feel like we are working together to achieve something, and you can see the progress. It's very exciting. And so, um, yeah, it's just that's the type of classroom I like to have. Now, being vulnerable. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about being vulnerable a little bit here. It's not a bad thing. A lot of people think it is. A lot of people are told, especially when we're going through some of our undergraduate music education programs. No shade, no shade. I'm just speaking in general terms. We are taught to be very strong, to be very professional, all of these things, which are so important. I do feel very strong in front of my students, and I do feel very professional. But there are times when I just have to be a little bit vulnerable. And over the years, I've gotten better and better and better with this. And my relationships and my classroom environment has gotten better and better and better. Um, so being vulnerable with your students isn't a negative thing. It humanizes you, and students will respond to that. Admitting to students that they have hurt your feelings by not being their best selves is not a sign of weakness. So, this is something my husband and I have talked about several times. And I think he might have heard me talk to one of my band classes. It was like a middle school group. Um, talk to one of my band classes about their behavior and how their behavior hurt my feelings. They were not well behaved when the sub was there, and that that behavior really hurt my feelings. They let me down, um, and I told them, "You promised me that you were going to behave in a way that is respectful of our classroom and of me and yourself," and they didn't. They did not. And so I told them, "You hurt my feelings by doing this. The way you treated me, or the way you just talked to me, or the way you guys behaved yesterday, you really hurt my feelings." There's nothing wrong with that. That's not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength, because you're able to admit that you have feelings, and you're able to admit that someone hurt them and you don't appreciate it. And so you hold those students to a high standard of behavior in your and performance, and it won't make them not like you. So if you say to them, "You're going to have to do better. This behavior is unacceptable. This is what I need. You didn't give it to me. This is what I need. This is just simple. I need this. I need you to play better. I need you to hold up your end of the bargain. We've got things to do." Um, there is not going to make them not like you. And it's so funny because they complain. Like, okay, for example, two of us at my school, and um, my my assistant band director, Devin Driscoll. Hey, Devin. Um, he always laughs about how the kids in his band that used to be my class, and now, or they used to be in my band, they've moved up to his band now. And so um, he laughs because he's like, "Y'all are always like complaining about her. Like, she's this and she's that. She's so mean. Blah, 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 blah. But when she talks to you, shut up." So what's that about? When she walks in the room, you're like, "Hey, Dr. Bell," yeah. And so they can act like they don't like you, because they're just like, "Oh, here she goes again, talking about feelings. Here she goes again, talking about hold up your end of the bargain, do your job." But they appreciate it. They appreciate you. Teaching is a thankless job most days, and then you might get some love at the spring concert, but don't count on it. It is a thankless job, so just be ready for that. But they will appreciate you. It'll show up. Humanizing yourself. This is what I mean by being a human. Humanizing yourself. Admit when you make a mistake. Now we get that in undergrad a lot. Admit when you make a mistake. Don't be afraid to admit when you make a mistake. But it goes past that. Um, you are going like your teacher personality. We talked about that in part one. Your teacher personality shouldn't be a huge departure from your real self. I say it to student teachers all the time. Students can smell phony. They can tell when you're faking it. They can tell when that's not really who you are. Um, who I am on the podium is very close to who I am in life. It's just about delivery and the way that I talk to people. But I'm very direct in life, and I'm very honest in life, and I can be a little bit what have I been told? A little cold sometimes in life. And so sometimes that's a part of my teacher personality. That's not me trying to be very direct and very blunt no, that's just me being me. Um and so your teacher personality has you in it, but there are certain things that you don't show the kids that it's not their business, they're children. Um but sometimes giving them glimpses into your life is is okay. Maintain your privacy, but let them see who you are. If you have a dog and you love your dog, you're a dog mom or a dog dad. Talk about your dog sometimes. Talk about your cat, talk about your fish, talk about your iguana, your you know, if you're me, talk about your shoes. I got new shoes and I love shoes. My kids know that I have a shoe problem. And so, you know, talk about your shoes, talk about their shoes, because sometimes I'm gonna be honest, they wear some really nice shoes. Um, so show them a little bit of who you are. Maintain your privacy, and maintain your boundaries, but show them who you are. It's okay. And it is okay to laugh at yourself. Don't put yourself down. Self deprecation is not attractive, and it's not necessary. It doesn't humanize you. It just makes you seem like you're really kind of a sad person. But don't put yourself down, but laugh at yourself. Like if you make a mistake, you screw something up, you're like, ooh, we were in three, weren't we? My bad. Laugh at yourself. It's okay. Laughter is therapeutic. Yeah, it makes you feel better, and it does humanize you to the kids. It makes them realize, you know what? She can laugh at herself. She's been doing this a long time. I can laugh at myself a little bit, but still hold myself, accountable and do better the next time. So, next step, creating a positive learning environment. Get to know your students. Students will work for someone that they believe truly cares for them. They'll work for you if they think that you care about them and you care about them past what they can deliver musically. You care about them as a person, as a human, as a student. Um, then they're going to work for you. They're going to work hard for you. Take time to walk around the room and chat with students before and after class. Um, I'm not a chit chatty type of a person. For people watching this webinar that know me well, um, they're probably laughing at that because it's very true. I am not chit chatty at all. So if you see me at a conference, at West, GMA, whatever, I am. You're probably going to see me walking very briskly to a session, not standing around talking. But I have learned to step outside of my comfort zone a little bit and talk to my students and get to know them. That's something I learned from teaching middle school. It's really important um, to get to know who they are. Um, Go to their other events. Go to their sporting events. Go to their scout events. Um, I just had a student call me a few days ago inviting me to her baptism, and this student just graduated. So those things matter. If they feel like you care about them as a human, um, they're going if they see you there at other events, um, they're going to, and even if they don't see you, if you say, hey, good game yesterday, man, the kids are basketball game, it was a great game, they're going to love that. And I got this from my husband. He is a master middle school director. Um, he just is like Yoda for middle school. Is crazy. But he says a fist bump goes a long way. He'll stand at the door, and of course, he's kind of a clean freak like me, and so there's hand sanitizer involved. But sometimes it's an elbow bump, sometimes it's a fist bump. But a fist bump goes a long way, especially with younger kids because if they feel seen. You can't fist bump somebody and not look at them, right? So they feel seen. They matter. So expectations. And this is what I talk about. I don't have rules in my classroom. Um, I talk about expectations, and those are my non-negotiables. Um, expectations equal care. Kids hear expectations. I have these expectations for you, and they realize, okay, she cares about me. Oh, great. Now I got to work. Hold students to high standards. They will thank you for it way later on, but they will thank you. It might take the whole school year, but they will thank you for holding them to those high standards. Don't allow them to be less than their best self. Everybody has a bad day. Everybody does. You included as the teacher. We all have bad days, but um, don't allow them to just settle into anything less than their best self. Um, and that communicates to them that you care enough to hold them accountable for their behaviors. You care enough about them to expect the best of them, not to be the best, but to be their best. And then continue to raise the bar for them. Never let them settle. So when you see growth, push that bar up. Even, if you've got a student that could not make it one rep without the cutoff happening and they turn their head and start talking to their neighbor. If they couldn't make it one rep, if they make it for two reps, let them know, okay, now I need you to make it for three. We're just going to keep raising that bar until you are behaving in the way that we know is your best musician self, right? Boundaries. Have them. Have boundaries. Looking straight into the camera. Have boundaries. They're important. Communicate your boundaries with your students. Um, I think a boundary that high school students like to cross is the cursing boundary, especially post COVID. Um, and they want to throw a little curse word in there, like shut up. That's I'm like, don't cuss in my class. And that's another non-negotiable. Please don't cuss in my class. I hate it. And it's just so much worse after COVID because they were at home all day alone. And the little bit of talking they did was to their friends. And they were, I'm sure, like just using every curse word that they could find, trying to create new ones. Um, because they were bored. And so communicate your boundaries with your students. Be true to who you are. Be true to yourself. Don't try to be someone else, but be true to yourself. Your boundaries and my boundaries may not be the same, and that's okay because we're not the same people. But just have your own and then communicate them. Remind your students of your boundaries when they step outside of them. I call it a quick body check on boundaries. Um, you just check them real quick. Hey, mouth, or hey, I don't, don't do that. Um, and it's just quick. It's just don't cross that boundary. Don't don't step back once. There you go. Get back on the other side of the fence. And then remind them that every teacher is different, and we must learn to respect each other's boundaries. And this is a life lesson, right? So you may have your really casual math teacher that wears like Jordans every day and is real chill and, plays Wu Tang in their classroom, that's them. That's not me, right? So just know that my boundaries and his boundaries or her boundaries are different. And so um, respect them, respect my boundaries and because that's respecting me for who I am, right? And that's a life lesson because they're going to work with people. So they need to learn how to deal with other people. And then finally, focus on the journey. this is something that we all have to work on. How do we do this? How do we focus on the journey when we are always faced with an impending concert or performance evaluation? How do we manage this? Create priorities. So prioritize what is most important to you as an educator. And then once you prioritize, communicate that to your students. Have students set priorities for themselves as students and then have them communicate that with you. So they're going to prioritize their work, right? Right now, I'm going to work really hard on my concert C scale because we've got this piece that we're playing and it modulates to C, and I am struggling with those concert B naturals. So I'm going to go ahead and work really hard on this concert C scale. That's the first priority. And the second priority is going to be working the section of music. So first, I'm going to really get solid and memorize the scale and the thirds and the technical studies and whatever other things you do in your classroom. And then I'm going to work. My second priority is going to be to work on the music. So, having them set priorities is really important because it keeps them in the moment rather than just thinking about the end product. Keeps them in the moment because learning that C scale has lasting effect. It has a lasting effect. It's not just for this one piece. It's going to help them play other pieces throughout their musical career. So prioritize the work. Stay true to your goals. So if you stay goal oriented, that will help you and your students stay focused, motivated, and engaged from day to day to day. And this is true for all of you. So if you stay goal oriented, it'll keep you in the moment. You're always going to say, okay, you know what? We're not working toward our weekly goal right now. I need to just step back and let's just stay goal oriented right now. Let's not get too focused on the performance to where I have forgotten about the work that we need to do just to make you a better musician. And then have a good time. Just have fun. Fun is a wonderful motivator, recruiter, and stress reliever. So trust me, you are not the only person in that band room that's stressed. Our kids are under a lot of stress these days, and they're dealing with a lot of trauma from, virtual learning and a pandemic and just life being hard. And so, having a good time in the band room and really enjoying the work you do. Hard work can be fun, and it can motivate you to want to come back tomorrow. It can recruit other people because they see you all having a good time. I want to do that. That looks fun. Um, and then it's a stress reliever. It kind of gets them into a space where they can just be in themselves. They can enjoy being them, and they can just explore the more emotional side of themselves just through music. And then remember to enjoy the journey you're on with your students. So every concert, the work that we do as band directors, standing on a box in front of um, preteens or what do we call them, tweens and teenagers is incredibly vulnerable work. And they have to be vulnerable with us, and we have to be vulnerable with them. And that journey can be so fulfilling and um, so enjoyable if you just allow yourself to sit in it. And I'm a work in progress with that, but I've really tried this year to um, allow myself to um, be in the moment with my students when I'm in front of them. Just remember, in your band room, if you have a week in your band room with no smiles, no laughter, or even a meltdown, no emotional anything, you have had a week without vulnerability and possibly without growth. That's not what you want. You want to make sure that kids laugh, kids smile. Sometimes kids are going to cry, but guess what? They're getting better, they're opening up, they're moving forward. Um, Stay dialed in to the climate in your classroom by not allowing yourself to get overly focused on the product. Don't get focused on the product. Get focused on the product. And our product is not just the music. Our product is the kid. Their product is music, but our product is also the kid. Music represents life. Enjoy it. Have a good time. So, wrapping this section up, being human and vulnerable with your students makes for a more authentic learning environment. Communicate your boundaries and remain consistent and get to know your students. It helps so much. Also, hold students to high expectations. They will love you for it. Prioritize your work and enjoy the journey. Stay true to your goals. And finally, have fun. So, I hope that this has helped you. I hope that this presentation has been meaningful for you. This is a topic I feel very passionately about. Um, this is something that I feel that I do pretty well. I don't think I do a lot of things well, but there are a few things that I do well, and I think creating a positive learning environment is something that I've really worked on over the years and really found to be important. And it has helped me become a better teacher as well, more efficient teacher. So, um, if you have any questions or you want to contact me, this is my email address. And you can also post your questions or any topics of discussion onto the band discussion board in our Godot community. And you can also check us out on our Department of Ed Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages. And we also have our YouTube channel that you can subscribe to, Fine Arts Facebook page, and our Fine Arts Twitter as well. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful. And I hope to see you for our next webinar. Take care. Gotta go. Bye.